Man, oh man, where do I even begin? Breath of the Wild is my favorite Switch game of all time, and the first ever Zelda game I've ever beaten in my life. Hi, my name is Sky Sashi, or you can call me Sky. It doesn't really matter to me. And this is my first ever YouTube video on this very channel. 2025 has been a very interesting year for me in terms of gaming on the Switch. When I finally got the Switch 2 all the way back in June, it really made me want to go back and start playing all these games that I haven't finished before, or that came out this year. This year alone, I completed Super Mario Odyssey, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and Metroid Dread, just to name a few. I've thought that some of these games that I've mentioned here today would be my favorite Switch game of all time. That is, until a certain game I decided to play. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of those games that I had on my Switch that I still had yet to beat. And I thought, why not now? Better late than never. Let's end off the year with a bang. I didn't really know what I was expecting, but my expectations were very high for my first ever Zelda game, and it being this game alone. Now, what I wasn't expecting were for my already high expectations to already be blown away out of the waters. I do want to say, before I start talking about Breath of the Wild, I have a weird history with Zelda. The only Zelda game I've ever really played as a kid was Zelda's crossbow training on the Wii. I wish that was a joke, but it's really not. I'm not really sure how this happened. I think this game was given to me in a GameStop in one of those like paper sleeves that you would put your DVD disc in. It was a very fun time shooting all those targets with my Wiimote in the very few hours that I played of that game. But anyways, putting weird history aside, Breath of the Wild, what a game. What a game. I've been waiting for that definitive Switch game to really get me hooked, and I think I found that with this game. This game is 8 years old, and I sort of feel like I had to stop myself from rambling on about how good this game really looks all these years later. Like really. While I was exploring the land of Hyrule, looking for towers, fighting bokoblins, starting to learn how to cook, discovering villages, I could really just find myself staring at the skies for minutes at a time without even realizing it. It didn't really matter whether it was morning, noon, or night. It was all so surreal to look at. And that was just one of many elements that this game had to offer me too. It's not just the world, it's the story, the music, the characters, the dungeons, cooking, cold and hot environments, armor, Zelda's memories, relationships, side quests, and all. I think what really made me feel addicted was watching the progression from day one all the way to the end. In the first few days of the game, all I had was apples, wooden weapons, wooden shields, barely any armor to my name. But the incentive to explore has never really felt this strong for me. Watching myself over time become a master chef with all these different type of food combinations all around the land of Hyrule was such a joy. Like, I genuinely think cooking was one of my favorite things to do in this game. Like, who knew that one of my favorite fruits of all time, bananas, would be so good in this game? It wasn't just the food that I found. Discovering the vast arsenal of weapons in this game through all the one-handeds and the two-handeds and even the spears were so addicting to find. From the humble beginnings of a traveler's sword all the way to the great flame blade and even the guardian sword plus for example. Oh, and I didn't forget the duplex bow or even the ancient battle axe. Like, there's so many different playstyles and they all reward you in different ways for whatever you want to do. I found myself to be a mix of every playstyle. I wanted to be slow and strong. I wanted to be quick and agile. I wanted to snipe from the head. It was all so fun. And then you have your protection. To name some of my favorites, it would be Urbosa's shield, the Mighty Lionel's shield once I got strong enough to take care of one, and even the ancient shield. They all look so cool. As you can tell, I'm probably a big fan of everything ancient and guardian related. Which kind of brings me into the fact that, like, with the shield, you have all these chances to be able to parry, to be able to backflip and be able to do a flurry rush. There's so many different ways that you could play. It's insane. Like, you could really act out an anime fight, or you could really just, be aggressive. And that's a big part of why I love this game so much. I just played very aggressively and ended up working out. Who knows how I'll play when I eventually replay this. Now I want to talk about the story and the characters together. As somebody who's getting into a Zelda game for the very first time, I didn't really know what to expect. But as far as I could tell, I think there's really nothing wrong with playing this game first, as it's kind of like not really one straight, like continuous timeline. Like, it's kind of like its own thing that I'm able to play. Which honestly didn't really make me confused, as you have to take the time to like unravel the story, and there's a variety of ways of doing so. You have the main quest of freeing the 4 divine beasts, so you have to fight Ganon, you have to fight Zelda's memories, but I feel like every single main quest is really necessary in order to understand everything. I chose the route of freeing the 4 divine beasts first, and then making my way towards Zelda's memories. But they all really felt like pieces of the puzzle that really created this beautiful experience that I enjoyed. Starting off with the 4 divine beasts, as well as the champions, you have Rivali, Daruk, Maifa, and Urbosa. Hopefully I'm pronouncing all of them correctly. I just want to say foremost that I really enjoy the voice actors in this game for the champions. They're really well done. They fit very well in accordance to their personalities. Starting off with champion Maifa, who's a selfless and very caring champion. Especially when it comes to her love for Link. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. Like, she's known him for a long time and has healed his injuries every single time. And not only that, she's made this Zora armor especially for him to be her future husband one day. Which I think is an excellent tie-in to the reward you get for freeing the divine beast of Vah Ruta. Like, Maifa's grace saves you upon the brink of death, which I think is very fitting after all. Let me just say, out of the 4 areas, I really think Zora's domain is the prettiest. Like, there's no doubt about it in my mind. Upon the moment of me making it for the first time, I literally just had to sit there, especially with the OST that's currently playing in the background of this video. Like, genuinely breathtaking. Like, the waterfalls, everything about it, I love it. I think the lighting especially is very impressive in there. Like, no matter what, even if it's raining because of Vah Ruta, or even after you free it, it's just incredible. And then you have the very enthusiastic brother of Maifa, Prince Sidon. I think he's my favorite out of these so-called like new champions, because that's kind of the way that I think about them all. I just really like how optimistic he is. Like, I feel like the biggest thing that I do remember though when I'm conversating with him is like, he flexes like every 2 minutes and puts on that smile. You know what I'm talking about. Like, he was really a dog. Like, his support in the Vah Ruta fight was really like 1-1. Which brings me to my first divine beast like dungeon, which was Vah Ruta. This was definitely the most confusing puzzle for me to solve yet. Which, I mean, I don't really mind because it makes it all the more rewarding once you're done. Once all that time passes by and you're able to solve it after all. Which is the same way that I feel about the shrines in this game as well, which I want to talk about right after I'm done with the divine beast really quickly. I want to say one of the rewards that I got, which is the Water Blight Ganon fight, did feel pretty rewarding. And the reason for why I say that is you're going to have a different strategy for every single Blight Ganon. And I really like that they're all like, elemental Ganons in a way. For example, you could plan out like your cryo blocks in order to fight Water Blight Ganon. Like, I think that's really cool. You could either use them to get to Water Blight Ganon, or you could use them as defense, really. Overall, once I really finished my first divine beast being Vah Ruta, I really started to get into the game. Which now brings me to Champion Daruk and Goron City. I really love Daruk. He's a jolly yet courageous guy, man. Like, he genuinely gives that big brother energy to Link. He was truly respected amongst his people in the city of Goron. And especially, and most certainly, by Yunobo. Yunobo, like his ancestor Daruk, wants to find the same courage that he has, but it's not exactly an easy feat for him yet. I actually love the fact that on the way to the Divine Beast, and after solving it, we help Yunobo find his courage. I think that's really beautiful. In the face of adversity, he's able to find the most important thing that he's been looking for within himself, which is courage. Which leads me to the Divine Beast, Vah Rudania. Let me just say, first and foremost, this is the most frustrating passage in order to get to the Divine Beast out of all 4 of them. And that's because you have to take Unobo with you, who's currently trying to find his courage, you know? He's not there yet. But you have to, in order to get to there, you have to do a lot. You basically have to do a stealth mission, Metal Gear style, and not get caught, and take him with you. And you have to order him as well so that he follows you correctly. The amount of times in which I've gotten caught is actually insane. One moment I'm making a crazy clutch with Unobo and wondering how I even didn't get caught in the first place. But then one moment I get caught instantly with him. But I think that makes it all the more hilarious. Frustrating, but hilarious. But I think the worst part about my playthrough is that I made a big mistake on the passage to Vah Rudania. Unobo has Daruk's power, and that's why you can launch him as a cannon and it won't even hurt him. But I somehow never thought to hit Vah Rudania. I don't even know how that's even possible. I somehow made it to the end where you're supposed to hit Vah Rudania one more time without realizing that you're supposed to hit him and make him move around the mountain all of those times. So I had to go all the way back, go through that stealth mission with all of those drones. And I didn't even realize that you could actually hit the drones with Magnesius too. I failed to realize that somehow. The beautiful thing about Breath of the Wild is that not everybody's playthrough and experiences are gonna be the same. I think we're all gonna have our unique experiences, but I wonder if anybody has gone through what I've gone through. But yeah, me being dumb aside, I will say it got even more confusing in Vah Rudania once I got inside. I think this was the second most confusing one for me to solve out of the 4 Divine Beasts. But like I said, the more confusing that it was, the more rewarding that it felt to fight another Blight Ganon and get my reward as well. Well, I think I remember the Water Blight Ganon fight more so than the Fire Blight Ganon. I do want to say, Daruk's protection is definitely great, no matter what though. Having that extra source of protection on top of what you already have is just really, really useful, especially for stronger enemies like Lionos or in the Ganon fights, just in general, like it's just very useful. But I really did enjoy the vibrant mining settlement that was Goron City. Let me just say, Urbosa and Gerudo City was definitely the most surprising one out of the 4 areas. I was not aware this is where that Gerudo outfit that Link wears is from actually. Which completely caught me off guard when I realized I had to disguise myself as a Vi in order to do this Divine Beast quest. Honestly, I really didn't know Link could slay like that. But anyways, Urbosa is low-key like somebody who likes to tease, but at the exact same time, even behind that, she is a fierce warrior nonetheless. She's definitely got my second favorite design behind Daruk. To be honest, I found myself spending a lot more time than I realized in the Gerudo Desert. I didn't even know there were sand seals, and when I realized you could ride them, this game became even more peak. Now, talking about Riju, she's definitely somebody who wants to match up her experience to be like that of Urbosa. I like the fact that she's aware of how inexperienced she is and how she still has a long way to go, because it takes a lot of, reflection in order to do such a thing. She doesn't care that Link is a bow. She doesn't care about that at all. She wants to own up to her mistakes, which was losing the Thunder Helm, which is a prized artifact, and also help her people, do what's best for her people. I think the build-up to the Divine Beast here was great, like learning about Gerudo City, and also the side quest to retrieve the Thunder Helm through the Yaga clan. That was hilarious. Fighting the leader of the Yaga clan was actually very funny. Like it wasn't even hard in the slightest bit, but it was very funny nonetheless. Let me just say, the fight to free Vah Naboris and enter it is definitely my favorite of the 4, no matter what. When you're trying to take care of all of its legs and you hear the OST kick in and you're riding on a sand seal, all of it hits. Let me just say, this Divine Beast dungeon confused me the most out of the 4. I don't know why. There was a certain terminal that evolved a ball You may know what I'm talking about. And you have to follow the ball in order for it to land somewhere, and then you can access the terminal. I don't know why I could never find the ball, so it took me more than an hour and a half in order to find that terminal and complete it. It was just very, very, very crazy. But I'm completely okay with that because you get a very awesome Ganon fight and reward too. Thunderblight Ganon was by far my favorite fight. And I genuinely think it was my favorite fight out of the 4. Like, being able to use Magnesius while trying to fight back with the same lightning rod that it's trying to use it as a conductor is just so unique. I did struggle on this one because the timing was faster than I was expecting at first, but once I got it, it felt so good to finish. So good. And then once you're done with all that, you get Ubrosa's Fury, a dangerous arsenal to have. I'm very well aware of how it may be the best champion's power, but there's really like no joke as to how strong it could be. I genuinely do feel like all of my efforts got paid off here, which is why the Gerudo Desert is amazing. Unexpected surprises, but amazing nonetheless. Which brings me to the final divine beast and area that I visited, Rito Village. With Zora's Domain, I was in awe. With Goron City, I may have been teeming with anger. With Gerudo Desert, I was surprised, but here, I've honestly felt the most calm that I felt in all of my playthrough. When you make your way towards this village, it genuinely feels so welcoming and inviting. Located in the Tavanto frontier region of Hyrule, it's located next to a stable. It's very compact, and there's a bunch of stairs, platforms, and even just huts in general. Even the OST that's playing right now is my favorite out of the 4. I feel like I could listen to this and go to sleep. Let me just say though, Rivali is definitely an interesting character when it comes to the 4 champions. He's arrogant, he's prideful, and he definitely considers Link as his rival, and maybe even inferior in a way, if you look at the cutscenes back then. Which is honestly the opposite of the other Rito warrior, Teba. While he is stubborn, don't get me wrong, he's doing it because he wants to protect his people. That is why he wants to test Link, and it makes it all the more understandable. Because once he realizes how capable Link is, he's there to support him. He is there for him during our fight with the Divine Beast. And speaking of Divine Beast, Vah Medoh, I've seen an elephant, I've seen a lizard, I've seen a camel, but this giant mechanical bird is the coolest Divine Beast out of the 4 when it comes to the designs. I said I enjoyed the Vah Naboris fight, but when you're fighting Vah Medoh in the skies, it's just so cool. Once you're done and Teba retreats, now you have the Divine Beast dungeon, right? Let me just say, this is the fastest Divine Beast dungeon I've done out of the 4. And it's the very last one that I do. I genuinely cannot believe that. Like, I saw this one in an hour or maybe a little bit under an hour. Like, I think it may have been around 45 minutes. It really didn't take that long. And I even did Wind Blight Ganon on my first try, which was very close because I did have 1 heart left though. But honestly, I found it rather fitting to have the most relaxing experience thus far in Rito Village in order to tie all loose ends and to free all 4 champions. It's kind of like me to accidentally end up doing the harder things first before I do the easier things first, so it doesn't really surprise me in that matter. I really did enjoy my time in Rito Village, and in my opinion, I think it's the best way that I could have ended the 4 Divine Beast quest. Although I do feel like I could go on about the 4 champions and the areas and the Divine Beast all day, I do think I'm gonna put a stop to that. I will say though, I really did enjoy the cold or hot environments, depending on which place I was at. That was really crazy. Needing armor because of how insanely hot it was in Goron, or the bitter cold during the nighttime of Gerudo deserts. I know you could buy cold or hot resistance food, or you could even buy elixirs or make them yourself, whatever the case may be. But I think buying the armor, funding these civilizations really makes it the cherry on top. Let me just say, the shrines in this game are truly something else. What I really like about the shrines in this game is that they really fit with the theme of the area. Now, when it comes to my experience within these shrines, I've had my lows and my outrageously crazy lows, but also my stupendously high highs. And I'm sure some of you have had experiences like this as well. You've had your good shrines, you've had your bad shrines. Some feel easy, some feel super rewarding to do because of how confusing or hard they are, and some of them you just have to come back to. I think some of my favorite shrines can be located in Rito Village in the Tabanta Frontier region because of the whole fan in general. Like, I really love the fans in these shrines. Like, those are very fun to solve. Which makes me very curious as to what other people consider their favorite shrine, because I'm sure we all have different favorites out there. Now, there is one missing puzzle piece that I still have yet to talk about, and that is Zelda's memories. I did this after completing the 4 Divine Beast quest, and honestly, I'm kind of glad that I did. Anything that I may have been confused about, or what I didn't understand about Zelda, I understood here. Getting all these glimpses of Zelda's time with Link right before the calamity began really made me understand what the buildup was to Breath of the Wild. You begin to see a troubled Zelda who at no cost wants to stop the calamity before it happens, or is aware of something bad that is going to happen very soon. But for some reason her power is blocked. She can't do what she's supposed to do. She wants to follow the footsteps of her mother and have the power that is needed to seal the darkness. But for some reason she can't call to it. She does have some weird memories here and there, but for some reason she just can't get a hold of this power. Which already makes her feel like a burden to everybody else who's preparing for the battles, like the 4 champions and Link, as well as everybody else in Hyrule. Her relationship with her father, the Kingdom of Hyrule, is complicated because of how much he wants her to focus on her training instead of other things. Not only that, she doesn't really understand Link at first and doesn't really understand why he's so quiet in the first place. I would also count this as her memories, but there were notebooks that I found near her memories, which kind of give you the details of how she felt about Link at first. Without even getting to know him, she at first thought that Link was this brave warrior without any hardships and could really just do anything that he sought out to do. She treated him harshly at first, but as she began to know him more and more, she then began to understand that this is a proud warrior who has faced many hardships, and there are various reasons as to why he's as silent as he is now. Which brings it to the point of why she wants to understand him so deeply, because she also wants to solve her own troubles as well. In the biggest moment of what could have been despair, she found her light. She found the light that could seal the darkness. And that's what leads us to Breath of the Wild and why this game exists in the first place, because now she used that same power when the calamity happened in order to fight off Ganon for 100 years. And now with the missing piece of the puzzle that I fulfilled through the Zelda's memories and acknowledging what happened before Breath of the Wild, and now that I freed the 4 Divine Beasts and freed the champions, it was time for me to fight Ganon. Well, not necessarily. Before that, I did do a special something, and that was get the Master Sword. Without even really knowing the special history behind the Master Sword, I truly felt as if this was a one-of-a-kind moment that I would never experience once again. I've been waiting for the Master Sword all of this time in my playthrough. Freeing the 4 Divine Beasts, getting all the Zelda memories, I constantly thought about the Master Sword, in and out. And I figured the best time to get the Master Sword would be right before my fight with Ganon. I thought it would be as easy as flying to the Master Sword, but Lost Woods taught me another thing though. But once I got past the Lost Woods, once I saw the Master Sword and I picked it up in my hands, there was nothing as exciting as that. I finally felt as I was ready to fight Ganon and end this once and for all. The infiltration to Hyrule Castle was definitely the most scary thing I've done so far. There are guardians everywhere, and I mean everywhere. And in some areas, you're gonna find a Lino, and you know what that means. I decided to save almost everything that I've been waiting to use for this moment. Except for when I decided to fight not 2, but 3 Linos. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing their names correctly still. But I decided to fight 2 or 3 of them with a very cheesy method. And that cheesy method was stasis. Was it cheesy? Yes. Did I have to defeat them without taking damage and maybe quit and saved again if I didn't defeat them without taking damage? Yes. But it made me get some of the best shields within the game and weapons as well. I mean, damn, I was a loot goblin in Hyrule Castle. There were so many good weapons out there for me to grab. And shields, bows too, everything was out there. But the one thing I couldn't find was the Hylian shield. I could not find it until the very end, just before I was fighting Ganon. I knew I had to get it too, or else I wasn't gonna feel fulfilled in fighting Ganon as well. But I was not prepared for how this Ganon boss fight was about to go. The actual Ganon boss fight was a movie, and there was not only one phase. I thought there was only one phase, but there were 2. But luckily I did get some help from the 4 champions and divine beasts that I freed, which to be honest made the fight not that hard. But was I still enjoying every single second of it, using my Master Sword, using my Hylian shield to parry? Absolutely, absolutely, do not get me wrong. Calamity Ganon is already a monster, but once you get to phase 2, it is just an absolute monstrosity that you must fight. But with the assistance of Zelda and the Bow of Light, it's just so good. I was strapped to the bottom of my seat. And just like that, my 40-hour journey had come to an end. And by completing Zelda's memories, I even got the extra cutscene, which I'm sure leads into Tears of the Kingdom. What an unbelievable ride this game was. To say I was addicted to this game would be an understatement. This game left an effect on me that other games really didn't on the Switch for the very first time. I was thinking about this game right when I woke up, right before I was going to sleep. It really had that effect on me. It just really left that much of a mark on me. Which is why it's my favorite Switch game of all time. And the first ever Zelda game that I have ever beaten too. Wow. I wish I could go on about this game in a review, but this is the first ever YouTube video that I'm making, so I don't think I really talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, but hopefully I made it understandable and clear. I cannot wait for when I replay this game and eventually make a better review of it on my channel. When the time comes, I know it's gonna be even better than what I'm doing right now. If you stuck here until the end, I really appreciate you a lot. And this game really left that much of an effect on me for me to make my first ever YouTube video right away. I didn't really know when I was gonna be making my first ever YouTube video on this channel because I mostly stream over on Twitch and here on YouTube on this same channel, but this game had to be the one. A review on this game had to be the one. I don't really know what I'm gonna be making a playthrough of next, but please let me know. What Zelda game should I play next? Should it be Tears of the Kingdom? Should it be Majora's Mask? Ocarina of Time? What do you think it should be? But yeah, it's been real. This has been my review on this masterpiece and this 10 out of 10 Switch game, and quite possibly one of my favorite Switch games of all time. Maybe even up there for my favorite video games of all time. I will catch you on the flip side whenever I decide to make my next video on whatever I want to cover next, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace!